Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have a special treat for our view. This is Shawn Maynard. He is a admin with me in the Everything Bibles Facebook community. And it's just a special treat to have Shawn come up. He was in Alabama. He made a trip up here just to hang out with me for the day. And he's gonna do some show and tell of some vintage Bibles. Thanks for showing up, Shawn. I appreciate you, buddy.
It's great being here. And I brought some vintage Bibles. Not that I'm a vintage Bible kind of guy, but I've got into vintage Bibles just because they all tell a story.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Right? So, but really, when you look at where Bibles have evolved as a medium, and what we look at in our current, premium Bibles, the pinnacle of Bible sales happened right around the 1880s, 1890s period of time, where it was just at the peak of its game. The top Bible manufacturer was Oxford University Press.
Yeah.
So I brought a few, and I'm going to show you a typical Oxford University Sunday school teacher's edition Bible.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are very popular.
Yeah, so what these are kind of your study Bible of the time. They didn't call them study Bibles. They called them Sunday school teacher's Bibles.
Yeah.
Right? So they had additional notes in it for a Sunday school teacher to be more informed, right?
Yeah.
Give them all kind of like scholarly information. This one is a Levant Morocco goatskin. Mm-hmm. Levant is the area of Israel and Syria and Jordan and so forth, the Levant area. So this was goatskin harvested from that area.
That's awesome.
About 1880s, this is. So before there was an Israel, it was still Palestine at the time. This is a calfskin liner, and notice how they did it here. It's almost as if when they did this leather, it's almost like the old-fashioned washing machine rollers. Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like. It's just kind of like glued and stamped.
Seamed together.
It's really interesting, and you don't find that anymore. They would have the references and so forth, and the text within. This is a ruby size font, which is a pretty small font. And then the notes is right after the book of Revelation, and you would have all kinds of notes, everything from the history of English Bibles to indexes, concordances, what kind of birds, aquatic animals. You got everything in there. So what's interesting about this, I'm going to point out the paper. So this was the typical paper for Oxford. It's called the rag type paper.
Yeah.
So if you feel it, it's kind of a thicker type paper, very opaque. You're not going to see any show through.
Oh, and it's beautiful, and it's not super thick.
No, exactly. But Henry Froude, which was the publisher for Oxford University Press, changed Bibles forever. Yeah. And he had the secret formula that he held on to, like Colonel Sanders with Kentucky Fried Chicken, for a new type of paper he called India paper.
Yeah.
Not that it came from India.
Yeah, that's right.
It was an exotic name because everybody was really infatuated with India around the 1880s, 1870s.
I always thought that was why they held on to the Morocco type name for the and it's more of a style.
That's right.
So if you see a Morocco goatskin or a Morocco leather, it's usually just a description of the style because it's no longer really from that area. But Bibles at this age, that's where they came from. All right,
talking about the peak of their game. So this is a ruby style. This is also a ruby. Yeah. But notice it's much thinner. It's much thinner. It's the same Bible.
Yeah.
But this is with the India paper.
India paper, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I'm going to show some interesting.
Looks nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
But this is the India paper, and they marked it by the word thin.
Yeah.
Because it was much thinner, lighter of a Bible, and people can carry it, and etc.
Now, what year did they convert over to India paper?
Round about the same time, mid 1880s, and going into 1890s, it really become popular. and they actually won an award at the Paris exhibition, for books and et cetera, Oxford University, for their India paper.
Yeah.
The other Bible, competitors, they were trying to create their own. This one is really unique. This is a silk end paper, right? But it has calfskin pockets.
That's awesome. That's beautiful, yeah. And they've held up so well.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
The other thing with the gilt of that age, this was real gold.
Yeah.
Not
It
gold
holds
colors.
up really well.
Holds up really well. And you see this one,
That's beautiful. Yeah. There you go.
They would publish them with, this is a genuine Oxford Teacher's Bible. Now, why did they do that?
Yeah.
Because American Bible manufacturers would take pictures and make photocopies and sell Oxford Teacher's Bibles. So you find a lot of Oxford Teacher's Bibles that wasn't produced by Oxford University Press.
Yeah.
And they sold them as Oxford Teacher's
I
Bibles.
think I've had one of those, and it was a Sunday teacher's Bible.
Yeah.
And it was not from Oxford. I was like, this is curious.
Right.
And I think that makes sense.
It's like a Van
marketing.
Cleve and publishers like that. Well, Oxford actually sued them. Mm-hmm. And in 1896, they copywritten their helps section to protect them. But I think the lawsuit charged about $10,000 at the time.
That's a lot.
And put all the American manufacturers out of business that was making copies.
Yeah.
But they had a huge advertising campaign. Make sure you have an actual, genuine Oxford,
Absolutely.
edition. Samuel Bagster and Sons was a Bible manufacturer and really the forerunners of the soft back leather editions that we have. Now, this one's in pretty rough shape. It's 1876,
Wow.
stamped in by a guy by the name of Spencer C. Coe. But what was interesting about this Bible, and the reason why I grabbed it, is it's very rare, but it has
D.L. Moody?
the autographs of D.L. Moody
Wow.
with his choir leader, Ira Sankey.
That's awesome.
Having both of those together is
gotta be
extremely
rare.
rare.
Yeah.
D.L. Moody was such a humble guy. He didn't sign autographs like a celebrity.
Yeah.
He dismissed the whole notion of that.
Yeah. You
Right.
got C.W.
C.W.
is that
Sawyer.
Sawyer?
So
All right.
Charles Sawyer was a guy that preached prohibition and stuff like that at the time, that traveled with Moody for about a year, 2 years, and George Pentecost, Reverend George Pentecost, was a huge.
That's where you get the name Pentecostal Church.
That's right. No, yeah, that's right.
That's
No,
just
no,
a
no.
joke. It's
Yeah.
the day of Pentecost. Whatever.
So to have all four of these from this time period was just such a unique find for me, and I just
Absolutely.
had to grab it.
I love that they quote their scriptures. Each one of them quote different scriptures. That's awesome.
Yeah, but this is a facsimile large edition. This was a Bagster, Samuel Bagster and Sons. And Samuel Bagster is the reason why we have a lot of the study Bibles today.
Yeah.
Because he started producing about 1823 his own Bibles, and then he was sued by the Crown.
Really?
And he went before the courts to the Crown to fight the copyright, if you would, because the Crown had the rights to what we call the King James Version or the Authorized Version. And he stood before them and said, they only have the copyright to the text itself, but anything published with notes is not bound by the royal
Smart.
copyright.
Yeah.
Whereas before, American publishers were outlawed.
Yeah.
Right? They were illegal publishings of the Authorized Version. But because of the work of Samuel Bagster, standing before the courts and arguing the case, opened up for Bible manufacturers. Yes,
Now this one looks pretty
it's a little rough.
Rough, but I see you have one.
Yeah,
that's
1891 Teacher's Edition Bagster. Now you can see
not. Wow.
this one just in great shape. I don't know if you can see the
Oh,
gilt
yeah.
on that.
That's beautiful.
Gold
it's like,
shining.
It's really shiny.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's over 100 years old, right?
1891,
1891.
absolutely.
So it's over 130 years old, and it looks that good.
Now the paper that Bagster used was very unique because he created these for preachers
Yeah.
and people that studied the Word. He produced Bibles for the everyday person. D.L. Moody, and the reason why that other Bible was so unique and interesting to me, D.L. Moody only used Bagster Bibles.
Yeah.
He only used this particular edition of Bagster Bible. That was it. And they created the Bible with writing paper.
Yeah, they did.
Expecting you.
It's definitely more coarse.
That's right. Expecting you to write notes.
Yeah.
One Bible I had belonged to a student of Pastor's College of C.H. Spurgeon. And it was a wide margin
Wow.
Bagster's Bible.
I bet those are rare.
That was very rare. So it was by a student, and it was just filled with his notes. I donated that to the Spurgeon College,
Oh,
to
how
the
awesome.
Spurgeon Library. And but Bagster had an explosion of sales from D.L. Moody.
Yeah.
Now, we don't talk about D.L. Moody a lot these days. We know of him, Moody Bible College, Moody Radio.
Yeah.
But comparison to the time, he would have been the largest influence of the spread of Christianity in the late 1800s,
Absolutely. Yeah.
beyond anything that Billy Graham had done.
Yeah.
There were whole cities that were transformed because D.L. Moody came and preached the gospel. He worked with churches.
Yeah.
He didn't, don't follow D.L. Moody. Follow the gospel, get into a local church, serve your community, etc. So Bagster Bibles, when you see any preachers out there, they all carry Bagster Bibles.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're relatively small compared to some of today's Bibles, especially for preacher's editions.
That's right.
Like this is a preacher's edition. It's edition for preacher, and those others are Sunday school teacher editions. And the print is probably 7 to 8 point font.
That's right.
So it's really small. So I think the publishing, at least in the last 20 or 30 years, has really shifted more toward larger print.
Yeah, well, we started seeing large print. It's funny. I mean, there are large prints in the, in that time. It's called Pica.
The craftsmanship, for these to be mass produced,
Right.
to an extent, the gold and the leather feel these feel like
This is
like
this,
really
this
premium
one is
Bibles.
a Syrian Levant goat skin with a calf skin liner. These have really held up.
Now, was this one also the same thing? Because it doesn't have anything stamped. Actually, it's on the top. Let's see.
Yep.
It has Baxter's binding.
So this would have also been a Morocco binding.
Okay.
And probably out of Turkey. Would have been the goat skin.
And for it to be 130 years old, to have some of the leather kind of crackling.
Yeah,
and,
so a lot of these would sit in environments that, they would dry out, the leather would dry out, they would decay.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to find Bibles in like this shape.
Yeah.
And there's a few, but especially like I've only seen one other Bible with the calfskin pockets. And
that's got to be rare.
And I possessed it. And a guy from the Bible group said, "I'll give you $200 for it." And I had no idea at the time what I held in my hand.
You're probably giving it away.
I did. It's like, oh, $200. I bought it
I could
for
use $200.
Yeah, I bought it for $30. It's like, wow. Yeah. But I had no idea I would not see another one for another couple of years.
Exactly.
And then I found this one.
Well,
very cool.
These look great, man. Thank you so much for sharing these. We're going to have more videos with Shawn. So if you're watching as I'm putting these videos out, you're going to see a few with me and Shawn. And he's going to be seeing the Horween leather editions from Crossway. We're going to talk some more, and we're going to actually have a kind of a conversation about Bible groups and kind of the nature of the market and all those things. And we're actually going to have a special time of prayer for our Bible community, since he and I both are here together. It's a rare occurrence, so we're going to pray. That's what we're going to do. So anyway, stay tuned. And as with all my videos, I'll be giving away a Bible. So right in this area, there'll be a name. You have won. We'll do it. Shawn can present it. You have won a Bible. As always, thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Shawn, for sharing your Bibles, these amazing vintage Bibles. I don't see them very often, but to all of you, please take care. Have a great day. God bless.
God bless.